Hey guys, Phil Mackey, Andrew Krammer, Derek Wetmore, 1500ESPN.com. We got senior editor here. We've got Vikings analyst and reporter over here, and we've got Joker, who just talks for 4 hours on the radio every day, who used to cover this a long time ago. I'm going to defer to these two who are going to be down here most often, specifically Andrew. Today was the first day of full practice at Vikings training camp, and I'll just tee you up for this. We'll start with Andrew. What did you notice the most today about the way practice was organized compared to Leslie Frazier? Any big differences?
They mixed in the team drills a little bit more than they did in the past. With Leslie Frazier, they would save the last hour just to kind of get everybody together and do it. This time, they wanted to mix in situations. So they actually brought in 11 on 11 within the first hour, and they go back to it later and actually do a goal line. They do a third down and long. They do different situational stuff that Mike Zimmer said he wants to kind of highlight and do differently than he had in the past and what the Vikings have done in the past as well. So it's a little bit more focused on team-centric building, from what I've gathered.
The biggest thing that I took out of it, now this is my first training camp, but Cordell Patterson was sitting on the sideline. I mean, that was kind of that's the biggest theme of the day. One of the Vikings' top playmakers, projected to be one of their most important players, didn't practice today. We're waiting on word to figure out the injury. We tried to grab Patterson on the way out of practice. It appeared to me, now this is going on a little bit of a limb, but he was walking with a slight limp and he declined interview requests. So we'll update soon on the website 1500ESPN.com.
Yeah, and preliminary word is that he does have some kind of injury, and he didn't fail his condition test, so that's not a worry. Mike Zimmer said one of the 90 guys did, and we still don't know who that is.
Right. And by the time a lot of you watch the video, it's possible that the news is already out anyway. So it sounds like nothing major. But if you're watching this and it turns out to be like 2 torn ACLs, we apologize.
That's
but
right. Maybe delete the video.
From what I saw, I thought it was interesting. They did a lot of pass catching drills. Two trends I noticed. Maybe it was just the packages they were working on, but. With the running backs and the fullbacks, a lot of work catching passes out of the backfield, more so than in previous training camps. And also a lot of underneath routes, a lot of drag routes, crossing routes, just in the full team and 7-on-7 drills. And again, that might just be something they're installing for right now, but it's interesting because with Cordell Patterson, Adrian Peterson, Jerick McKinnon, Jarius Wright, the personnel, and even the way that Greg Jennings runs routes, the personnel is there and the speed is there to do a lot of underneath stuff with some of these players. So,
definitely, and that's a staple of North Turner offenses, is getting the halfbacks and tight ends involved underneath and across the middle. Now, especially, they weren't afraid to air it out either today. I mean, it's a little windy, but they were a little rusty, and they didn't connect on any of the deep balls that they threw in 11-on-11 drills. A few 7-on-7. But they
tried really hard.
But it's the first day of training camp, and they weren't afraid to air it out. It's completely different than the last offense we saw. Is the point? Is that it's a different kind of philosophy and approach to it. We're not going to try and handcuff the Vikings aren't going to try and handcuff themselves necessarily coming into the first day. They're just going to throw everything out on the table in terms of offense, and we saw that today.
They did take a couple of deep shots. There was an interception. Robert Blanton picked off a pass
by Christian Ponder.
The two dark horses, or my leaders in the clubhouse after day one for Mr. Mankato, the Mr. Mankato Award, and you can find all the details at 1500ESPN.com for that. I've got Robert Blanton with the interception on a deep ball, and Adam Thielen. Those are my top two
Mankato's
after day
own.
one. We'll have to update those probably daily, the leaderboard, and who's the favorite in the clubhouse for that, but those are the two guys that stood out to me today.
Thielen made a few impressive diving catches and from multiple quarterbacks. And
maybe you notice him more because the crowd's really behind him. They love that guy more than anybody, but he caught my eye a little bit today in some of the drills.
Give us a wide receiver depth chart, and keep in mind, too, Simpson might be suspended for the first month of the season, too. So how many receivers do you think they're going to keep? And rank them right now after Cordell Patterson, Greg Jennings.
After today, I think it would be Jarius Wright as your third slot receiver. Obviously, Jerome Simpson will come in at number 4. He might be facing a 6-game suspension, which means you obviously have to bring in multiple bodies at that position outside of the 4. So I'm thinking a 5 and a 6. I wouldn't be surprised to see him bring 6 receivers onto the 53-man roster. And right now, I think Adam Thielen would make it at number 6. And number 5 could be a guy like Rodney Smith or Kane Coulter, guys that show and have versatility. They can return punts. They can do stuff like that. Obviously, Adam Thielen's caught a few punts as well here in practice. So there's guys at the bottom of that depth chart that are really jockeying to get into those positions and trying to do multiple things to prove themselves.
Hey, you told me something on the sideline. What did you notice in the team defense drills with the number of safeties that Mike Zimmer was putting out?
Yeah, there was 3 safeties on defense in one of their packages that they were throwing out there, and Harrison Smith is actually the one who's kind of roving around the offensive line, the defensive line of scrimmage area. They had Mr. Raymond and Robert Blanton in the back, and they had Harrison Smith kind of as your third, what would be a nickel back and almost third linebacker in there. So it was a very interesting look that I hadn't seen under Leslie Frazier before.
Anything else?
I'm just looking forward to this Mr. Mankato thing.
Yeah.
That's my biggest focus today.
All right, that's a wrap. Plenty more videos, plenty more coverage on 1500ESPN.com. For Andrew Krammer, Derek Wetmore, I'm Phil Mackey. See you next time.